Turn heads and bring the hype with a custom hype chain from Lotwin. Perfect for youth sports, fantasy football, or just flexing your pride. Go to Lotwin.com, use the promo code TCCPOD for 10% off your order. That's Lotwin.com, promo code TCCPOD for 10% off. Get your custom hype chain and get hype with Lotwin.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for September 24th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the podcast. Happy hump day to everyone out there. Probably going to be a little bit of a quicker episode today because rain is starting in probably like 10 minutes. So I'm going to try to get this done before the rain starts. But welcome to a Wednesday edition. Good and bad news for the Phillies yesterday. They lose 6-5 in 11. There was about an hour rain delay. They looked good to start, jumping out early 3-0. Christopher Sanchez was outstanding, really stepped up when they needed him to. Congrats for going over 200 strikeouts for the season. But the bullpen could not hold it. Johan Duran gave up the home run to tie it. Phillies got a man on base, and then the rains came down. Delayed it, and I'll give them credit though. They battled back in the extra innings, which is what you want to see, especially going into playoff time. There was no Bryce Harper, who was sick, but the other news was JT took a nasty foul ball off his hand. X-rays luckily were negative. They're going to evaluate it today, but that's not the guy you want to be losing heading into the postseason push. But on the plus side, the Diamondbacks did come back, walk off the Dodgers, so the magic number for the bye, which again is huge, especially if JT is going to need some days off for that finger. Need that bye. So tonight, Phillies win, Dodgers loss, Phillies get the bye. They're still 2.5 games back of Milwaukee, so home field throughout is still in play. But Phillies lose, but gain ground on the Dodgers. Some other good news before the game, Trey Turner was taking live batting practice, appears ready. I would like to see him maybe get into a game or two later this week if possible, to before the postseason, especially if they are going to have a bye. I'd like to see him see live pitching at least once or twice, but overall, not a good way to lose for the Phils. However, you make up a game. You only need one more in the final 5 now to get that bye, which is huge for a team that has a couple injuries now that we need to keep our eyes on. And then the other news, excuse me, this fresh mountain air, it's killing my allergies. So I do apologize. However, the Major League Baseball announced before the game that they will be using the ABS system next year, which I'm a big fan of. I feel like now that I know, and I just saw a couple calls yesterday that could have been challenged, that would have went the Phil's way. So I think it's good. Just adds a layer of accountability for the umpires. We can get more into this later in the week, but it appears it's going to be just like the way they did it in spring training, except for teams get 2, or each player, I guess, gets 2. It was kind of unclear on how the ruling works, so I'll research that and discuss it more, but I like it. Anything that's going to hold the umps a little bit more accountable is a good thing for me. All right, but today's trivia question, we're going to start it early. On this day in 2019, the last Phillies pitcher hit a home run in a game. Who was it? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531. Any of my social medias, but who was the last Phillies pitcher to hit a home run in a game? And then, of course, the answer to yesterday's question, it was John Denny who led the 1983 Phillies with wins. He had 19 en route to winning the Cy Young Award. It wasn't Lefty. It was John Denny who won the Cy Young Award. So there is today's trivia. Some Eagles news. And I know I saw Twitter was blown up, going back and forth on both sides of this. CJ Gardner-Johnson was released by the Texans. Lots of people saying, oh, the Eagles should look to give him back. A lot of people saying, no, there's a reason why they let him go in the first place. And truthfully, I don't know if that is the solution to the Philly or the Eagles' problems. They have a cornerback two problem, and I saw some people saying slide CJ Gardner-Johnson next to Andrew Makuba, and then let Reed Blankenship or Cooper DeJean play outside. But I know that's not a thing that Vic Fangio wants. So, while it might seem like a feel-good story, I don't think bringing CJ Gardner-Johnson back is the answer. But we'll have more on the Eagles as the official injury report and all that stuff starts coming out for Sunday's game in Tampa. And then don't forget, the Brotherly Birds breakdown will drop late on Thursday night to get you ready for the Eagles Bucks. We'll recap the Rams game as well. But at first glance, I don't think CJ Gardner-Johnson will help this team, and it isn't really what they need, especially with the way that Drew Makuba is playing. But we'll see what happens. Howie, like I said, always has something up his sleeve. The Flyers opened up their preseason yesterday with a loss. Excited to see how this Flyers team goes. I've been telling you all through last offseason, this is the time to get in on the ground floor for the Flyers. All right, some quick housekeeping notes. Be sure to follow me on social media at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel Jimbo_Mont. That is the best way to stay in the loop with everything that's going on, especially with the Brotherly Birds breakdown. You can set it, you'll get a notification, and you'll be good. Be sure to like, subscribe, review, comment.
Want to show off your Philly pride without saying a word? Philly Goat has you covered. From tees, hoodies, shoes, and hats, their gear screams Philly louder than an Eagles fan at the vet. Whether you're tailgating in South Philly or trying to flex down the Jersey Shore, do it in style. Hit up phillygoat.com, use the promo code Jim Montgomery, and get 10% off your order. Philly Goat, because being Philly ain't a choice, it's a way of life. Go Birds!
All right, let's go back to September 24th, and we got a lot of Eagles to talk about today. First, we're going to go back to 1950. And on this day in 1950, the Eagles beat the Cardinals 45-7 at Comiskey Park. The defense forced a team record 12 turnovers, 12, and including 7 interceptions, 4 of them by Russ Kraft, who tied the NFL record. The last time it's shared with about 20 guys, but the last time it was done was D'Angelo Hall in 2010. And if you're keeping score at home, the Eagles did have 12 turnovers one other time in their team's history. It was in 1965 in a game against the Steelers. But on this day, it was defense was the name of the game as the Eagles forced 12 turnovers against the Cardinals in a 45-7 win. Russ Kraft tying the NFL record with 4 interceptions in a game. Fast forward all the way back up to 2006. Eagles beat the 49ers 38-24 in San Francisco. Donovan threw for 296 yards, 2 touchdowns. Brian Westbrook had 117 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns, also added 4 catches for 47 yards and a touchdown as the defense forced 2 turnovers and 3 sacks against the 49ers. But everybody will remember 2006 is the Jeff Garcia year. And it's a shame because Donovan was having a stellar season in 2006, coming off that injury and the disaster that was 2005, throwing for almost 300 yards on this day in 2006 out in San Francisco. And then in 2017, really the turning point of the Eagles Super Bowl season. There was a division battle against the Giants, who scored 24 points in the fourth quarter against the Eagles. They tied it up when Sterling Shepard went 77 yards from Eli Manning, but kudos and shout out to Carson Wentz, who led the Eagles down the field, setting up a 61-yard field goal by kicker Jake Elliott, who nailed it as time expired to give the Eagles a win, and it just really propelled the Eagles that season. To me, probably that was the best game up until this past Sunday's game that I ever saw as a finish. But really the turning point of the Eagles season as Jake Elliott hits a 61-yarder as time expires on this day in 2017. But it is Wednesday. Time for a little What If Wednesday, brought to you by Lotwin. Get your 3D custom hype chains from Lotwin. Go to Lotwin.com. They will work with you. I told you about it. The quality of these things are great. Got them for my son's 10th birthday. He loves it. It's better than those cheap foam ones you get at the team store. Just go to Lotwin.com. Use the promo code TCCPOD to take 10% off of your order. All right. So what if Wednesday? I firmly believe that kick by Jake Elliott was the turning point of the Eagles season. And I guess the one way to look at it on What If Wednesday is, what if he didn't make that kick? What if it came up short? I mean, it was right at the beginning of the time when kickers really started to become a little bit more consistent from 60 yards. So it wasn't necessarily a chip shot by any stretch of the imagination. Wasn't like it is today when you feel a little bit more confident with 60-yarders. Do they win that game? I don't know. You go into overtime. The Giants certainly had the momentum in that game. And if they lose it in overtime, do they have the same sort of special feel about them? Because at that point, you start to feel like it was special. And after that game is really when the offense and everything started to get into high gear. Does it change the vibes of this team? And then even if they win it in overtime, let's just say they come down, win it with either a touchdown or a field goal. Again, does it have that special feel? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think if they lose that game, it's kind of one of those deflating things after you give up 24 points in the fourth quarter. But winning it even in overtime doesn't have that same feel as a 61-yarder as time expired. But let me know your thoughts on that. Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531. Does that kick, if it doesn't go in, change the trajectory of the 2017 Eagles? I think it does. I mean, I really, really do. I think it's like the Brian Westbrook punt return against the Giants. It's just kind of a moment that like galvanizes the team and really pushes them into believing that they're a good team. And I think that's what that kick did. But we'd love to know your thoughts on that. You can also hit me up on the Discord channel, which is the first link in the description. And then finally today, Sixers opening up training camp soon. So our underrated and underappreciated athlete is Andrew Toney. Certainly underappreciated, especially with the way the whole saga ended his time here in Philly with the distrust from the front office, the injuries and everything. But when he was at his top, the Boston Strangler was just outstanding. First round pick by the Sixers in 1980. He did make 2 All-Star teams, averaged 16 points a game, but was a huge part of that 82-83 run and the last championship won by the Sixers. I mean, everybody talks about Moses helping get Doc over the top and Doc in general, but Andrew Toney was certainly an integral part, especially in the playoffs for that 82-83 championship team. And I mean, the man could just flat out shoot. Had he been playing in a time when the 3-point line was, or 3-point shot was more relevant in the game, certainly would have probably had better numbers and been talked about more as one of the all-time greats. But as it stands today, Andrew Toney is today's underrated and underappreciated Philly sports athlete, especially for his pivotal role in clutch play in the playoffs during that 82-83 championship run. Is this year the Sixers get back to the championship? The stuff that they are showing on their social media, they look for, I mean, of course they're going to slant it. I get that. But Joe looks good. Paul George looks good. I don't know. It's that time of year where they suck me in. Lucy with the football, crazy ex-girlfriend, whatever you want to call it. But I don't know. But kudos, Andrew Toney, today's underrated, underappreciated athlete. About a month, I'll be off the Sixers. Probably. Hopefully not, but probably. On this day in 2017, Eagles beat the Giants when Jake Elliott hit a 61-yarder. As time expires, I told you, the allergies are killing me today. But Jake Elliott hit the walk-off 61-yarder to help propel the Eagles to the Super Bowl that year. In 2006, Eagles go to San Francisco, win 38-24. Donovan with a huge game as he threw for 296 yards and 2 touchdowns. And in 1950, Russ Kraft intercepts 4 passes, tying an NFL record as the Eagles set a team record with 12 turnovers in the game. Don't forget to tell me the last pitcher who hit a home run for the Phillies. Excuse me, I apologize. But we'll have more on the Phillies as they look to take the game tonight against the Marlins and get that first round bye. We'll have more on the Eagles and injury reports and all of that tomorrow. I'll be back in my studio without the allergies and everything like this. And there's the first raindrop, so I got it in under time. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for September 24th, 2025. My name's Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a happy hump day. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.